Yeah, remember when I mentioned that sequel? What's up, guys? This is Courtney, one half of the Brothers of Deconstruction here, and I'm bringing you my super late review for Mortal Kombat Annihilation. This movie came out 2 years after the first movie in 1997. Where do we start with this one? One of the funniest things that I noticed in this film is when Sonya goes to, not rescue Jax, when she goes to get Jax and they end up fighting Cyrax and a bunch of goons or whatever like that. While Sonya is fighting the goons, Cyrax and Jax are in the background fighting, and it looks so god awful. It literally looks worse than the background fighters on the ledge stage in the actual game. You know how in the game there's like when you're on that one level, there might be fighters in the background just fighting. It literally looks worse than that, and it's absolutely hilarious. This movie is such a step down from the previous film. Like, even in critical reception, like, it got panned when it came out. You know, the first one came out to mixed reviews. This one just got completely panned, and understandably so. This movie might be the Room of video game movies. Like, this movie is so bad, but it's so entertaining because of it. And they make a lot of terrible decisions with this movie, story wise and just overall. One of the things that they decided to do, Shinnok is an elder god in this film. Fine and dandy. They make Shao Kahn his son. Okay, I can. They also make Raiden his son, effectively making Shao Kahn and Raiden brothers. Well, at least did they? No. To answer your question, they didn't do anything with it. They just had them be brothers. That's it. If you're gonna change something, and this is what I meant in the previous super late review for the first Mortal Kombat when I said they did their own thing with the film. They did their own thing by changing that part of the story, having Shao Kahn and Raiden be the sons of Shinnok. If you're gonna do something like that, at least do something with that plot point. They do nothing with it. The only thing that they do is a lot of the characters, a lot of the fighters that Shao Kahn sends after the Earth Realm fighters, they have like this dragon tattoo on their shoulder blade that's a family crest of, Shinnok, Shao Kahn, and Raiden. It allows them to kind of freely pass through the different realms, and the fighters that they send after the Earth Realm characters have a temporary pass. So every time one of them is defeated, the tattoo kind of leaves the host and it flies off. The only thing that they do with this plot point of them being related is that they use that, and Sonya and a couple other characters notice the same tattoo on Raiden, and they say, "Hey, a lot of the people that we fought had that same tattoo, and it, left their body after we beat them." And Raiden explains this is a family crest, blah blah blah. And then there was like, wait, what does that mean for Shao Kahn? And he says, well, it makes him my brother. For the characters, they're like, what?
Shao Kahn is my brother.
And they don't do anything with it. Like, as far as it's a direct continuation of the first movie, even though they recast a lot of the actors, which I don't. They didn't do anything with that plot point. But getting back to like my overall thoughts on the movie, it's an entertaining movie because of how bad it is. Literally at the start of the film, one of the worst lines of dialogue in cinema is said. Literally at the start of the movie, like 5 minutes in, by the actress who plays Sindel.
Brother, you're alive. Too bad you will die.
Yeah, that's a great piece of dialogue there. I didn't mention the effects in the first Mortal Kombat. A lot of the green screen isn't great. A lot of the effects don't hold up. You know, with Reptile, with the actual Reptile that goes off and becomes the fighter Reptile, the ninja Reptile. The cinematronics on Goro are really good though. They still hold up pretty well. But nothing effects based is great in the first Mortal Kombat, but this movie somehow has worse effects. Like there's keyframing that is really noticeable. Like parts of the actors themselves, like shadows on the actors, blend in with the keyframing. And them trying to like adjust the green screen and do all this crazy stuff. A lot of effects are not good in this film. Again, this might be a really short super late review. Like I'm still going to tell you to watch the movie only because I want you to see how entertainingly bad it is. Like this movie, they changed. They like I said before, they changed the cast. Christopher Lambert got replaced by James Remar. Bridget Nelson as Sonya got replaced by actress whose name I'm forgetting. They actually cast a couple of American gladiators as Motaro and Jax. Now Jax had an appearance in the first Mortal Kombat film, but it was a really small minor role, and you saw that in the footage that I put in the first review when Sonya saw Kano getting on the boat. Like that was Jax next to Sonya. But you know, a lot of decisions made in the movie weren't great. And the one good thing I can say from this movie is that they leaned way into the fact that this is a video game movie. Like before the first one, they kind of leaned into it, but not as much. Like they had a lot of characters, they had a lot of the lore kinda, and they had outfits and everything and weapons and things. In this one, they leaned heavy into it. Like the first Sub-Zero in that movie, his brother shows up in this movie, which I mean is part of the lore of the video game. Like Bihan is the first Sub-Zero, and then I think in Mortal Kombat 3, which I guess this movie is kind of loosely based on, this Sub-Zero is the younger brother of that Sub-Zero. So I mean, and he's much more of a good guy than the previous Sub-Zero. They have Ermac and Rain in this film. They show them using their powers. They have animalities. They have Nightwolf. Like they lean really heavy into the fact that this is a movie based on the Mortal Kombat video game. It's just not good. But again, overall, it's an entertaining movie. It's just bad. Like if you can sit through and watch The Room and be entertained by that, you can sit through Mortal Kombat Annihilation and be entertained by it. I guarantee it. This movie is just bad, guys. You know, it basically destroyed any hope of there being a sequel to the first Mortal Kombat, a good sequel at least. Mortal Kombat Annihilation is probably the reason why video game movies, took so long to get off the ground, because there weren't really a lot of video game movies around this time in the late '90s. There weren't many to come after this either. Like Mortal Kombat Annihilation and Street Fighter definitely ruined the video game movie potential. And you had other terrible video game movies as well. Resident Evil. I'm sorry, I might be coming down with something. There's hope. Like James Wan recently, he was announced as the producer of a reboot of the franchise, of the video game movie franchise, but then he had to step down. But then there's I watched a video on it earlier because some news recently came out about it, I guess. But there's another guy, I think Greg Russo is his name. He's going to be the writer of the new movie whenever they make it. So, and there's been like some weird news to come out about the movie in the past few months. It was like it's gonna be based on one guy who's a boxer, and there's gonna be a kid involved and things like that. I think those rumors are false, or at least God, I hope they are. I think they were proven as false though. I'm hoping that whoever makes the next movie is really a fan of the franchise, because I think that'll be the only way that we get a good Mortal Kombat movie. Because the funny thing is, even though it's a fighting game, it has a lot of lore and it has a lot of backstory. And there's potential to use that as a movie. Like you can use the MK9 when they rebooted everything. You can use the whole time travel aspect. In Mortal Kombat 9, it came out in 2011. Basically, the story of that game was Raiden going back in time and trying to change the events of Mortal Kombat 1, 2, and 3, and a couple of the other games. And you basically kind of replay through events of those games, and it basically creates a new timeline. There's potential with this movie franchise. Mortal Kombat Annihilation squandered it though, at least in the late 90s. But I don't want to drag on too much about different Mortal Kombat properties. This one, watch it. It's on Hulu. That's where I watched this and the first Mortal Kombat movie, and you'll be entertained. Like this is definitely a movie that you can put on with friends and just have a ball with. There's also a drinking game that I advise you probably not to play because there's going to get a point where, depending on which rules you follow, there's going to get a point where you have to take quite a few shots if you're doing shots and not just like sips of a drink. If you're doing shots, there's going to come a point in time where you're probably going to die in like a 5-minute span. So, warnings about that. Overall, again, I can't stress it enough. This movie is not good, but it's entertaining as hell. So, check it out. You're not going to be mad that you watched it because it's that entertaining. I was really looking forward to doing this and the first Mortal Kombat movie as a super late review. So, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hopefully, I didn't forget to mention anything that really stood out to me. I talked about the background fighting of Jax and Cyrax and the effects that I didn't get to mention about the first movie. Yeah, now what? But yeah, check out all of the other videos. Check out the Mortal Kombat Super Late Review. Check out some of the other stuff as well. And I'll catch up with you guys later.